Okay, so welcome. Today's guest is Liz. I don't know what. So actually, this is something I want to ask. Like, you have your artist name or your name, and you
Mhm.
also have the name as a collective, Uber Morgan. And is it like actually like what? How is it done in the like official papers with the KHM, for example? Or with the
Um,
museums, well, maybe museums are more flexible, or maybe
yeah, I
not.
mean, no, with because the Ubermorgen is like a legal entity because it's like a Verein,
I see.
like an organization. I always find it stupid that there's no English word for Verein because but
It's not a company, but it's a
not at all,
legal
right?
entity.
It's what are they called? It's like a non-profit. That's kind of the right. It's a non-profit, but that sounds horrible. That's like a message,
You're
like
doing volunteer all
nah.
day.
I mean, if tell that, yeah, we got a non-profit, just sounds like I'm illegally trying to kind of get money and then acting as if I'm a good person. So that's my association with non-profit, apparently. No, with museums, we just do everything with the Verein, with the Wohnwagen, and also usually with funding. So that's not a problem because it's a legal body. And for my artist name, it's not just my artist name really. I consider it my name, and because of legally in Austria, if a name that kind of you're known by, um, then that becomes your legal name anyways.
Okay.
So you can use it to sign stuff, and you could also ask the authorities to put it in your in your ID papers and stuff. But I didn't because it's not I don't see the relevancy. But I use it for myself, you know, and um, and the nickname for lizvlx is Flixie. I got really fed up because my regular name is Litzy, and but people would always mispronounce that. They would always say Lizzie, which is a horrible name. Plus, also Litzy doesn't work in English because anytime somebody say, "Well, let's see," you're like, "What?" So I figured I needed something else because people would always, no matter how I tried spelling the name Litzy different, so like with a TS, for example, people would still pronounce it Lizzie. I was like, okay, so apparently people don't care about letters. They will just say whatever they want. So I just picked whatever letters. And now they're like,
Oh,
how do they pronounce?
okay.
And now suddenly they're like, I don't know how to pronounce that. And before they were like, I know how to pronounce that. It's like, no, you don't.
You know what? Actually, I use my real name, but at one point I put like accent. How do you call it? Accent tegu in like French in on my
Hmm.
last name because it's
Hmm.
Hieda and it's people always say like Hida or Haida, so I
Hmm.
hated it and put the accent just to kind of like a protest against people. But
Yeah.
then people start to think that it's like a legal name, so they always ask me, or like they don't ask me, but they think my because I do it in Facebook, and people think that's like the real name, so they use it for like exhibition and stuff. It's like started to feel like really wrong because on my passport
Yeah.
it's there's no point in that, so I removed it for now. I think, but still people ask me, and that's not fun. But my question was like because you have the professorship at the KHM, and like if you go to the KHM website, it's like
Yes.
shown as Uwe Morgan, and I was wondering like is it like as a collective or like but you have to sign individually, I
Yes,
don't know.
you have to sign individually. That doesn't work otherwise.
So
You
you're
cannot.
you're Uwe or you're Morgan.
Yeah, exactly. I think Hans is Uber. I'm rather Morgan.
Okay,
Yeah. He probably thinks it's the other way around, though.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. He thinks he's such a. It's funny, it's funny when you're in a duo and the person who has got like the what's it called, the bipolar disorder, thinks that he's the stable one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really funny. I'm not saying it's not true, But but no, it's not true. It's really not true because I'm a super stable person, but it doesn't show that way. So I understand why he's like, he always gets scared. Like, she's in a bad mood. No, not bad. Never in a bad mood. She's in an, I don't know. No, she's an unpredictable mood. That's what scares him. I think it's when my face
Okay,
becomes very blank and doesn't show anything. Like,
but you don't intend for that, right?
no, I forget my face. You know how it is.
But like, how is it like? Because you share like private and also like the work, and like, is it hard? I mean, of course, sometimes it will get harsh, I guess, or maybe you don't have any issues working with Hans.
I have many issues working with him. That would be a different podcast. Um,
Okay.
um, well, no, the thing is, I, what I think, if I imagine, it doesn't, we're not like a romantic couple anymore. We're just, we're like really good friends and like this kind of family. But if I imagine I were in a relationship, whatever kind, with a person, and like, what do you talk about? I mean, you can talk about stuff that just happened that day, and that's great. But that's like with my best friend. I do that, but we meet like once a month or once every 2 months. And then I talk for like an hour or two, and then she talks usually for half an hour. She'd rather listen than talk. Um, and then, we don't need to see each other again. So what kind of relationship would that be with a person? That's ridiculous. But because we work together, we can actually talk about stuff. Because otherwise, I'm not really interested enough in whatever he has to say, if it's not topic related, not necessarily work related, but topic related. Because I'm like, why is this person telling me that,
So this is like we talked about it before I started recording, but like I really hate when he asks me, wie geht's, and I was like,
Ugh,
okay, so
it's
like what?
horrible.
Like
It's
and it's not that like okay, everyone asks that question, how are you? But then he knows that it will trigger something in myself, and that's just funny, and also I really hate it, and I have to say that every time that okay, you said it again. That is not cool.
Yeah, well, I usually want to ask people before, as usually, because I usually kind of need to know, because if somebody's stressed or not, um, because I don't know. I don't really, of course, I don't have so much of a problem with that question in conversations, because I just usually ignore it. Or if you're just being an asshole, basically, I just explain how I am. But
Yeah,
when
yeah, that's what I do. Like, it really depends. I think there's also trust because if it's a professor I don't know and then they ask me, how are you, then I will say something more polite. Like I wouldn't start with you shouldn't ask that question to me.
well, I
But
mean, if it, yeah, 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 I know. I think the thing is because I went to high school when I was 15 in America, and you know how Americans, they're like totally the whole time, like, how are you, how are you, how are you, how are you, and even for European, of course, you go like, well, you give some kind of answer, but in America, it's like clearly only hello and nothing else.
yeah, this is
Um,
like weird phrase. This what's up, and then you reply with what's up, and that's like, so what was up?
yeah, it's like, yeah, no, it's really fucking weird. And but at the time, of course, I just couldn't get the hang of it. I also just didn't subscribe to that bullshit because it's stupid. I also think it's harmful. I don't think it's a good idea. And so I just figured, instead of me like messing up the whole time, I just figured, no, I'll just answer. I'll just answer every time. I will not kind of try to, I don't want to say censor myself because that's a word, control myself. And some people get really fed up with it, and other people would always be like, God, Liz, she's so European. And because that was my cover up. So there's this whole high school class, or two classes in high school from that, they just think Europeans are all autistic people, basically, because they thought, it's really funny
Well,
because I
I
could
think
just be who I was, because they figured out that's just European.
Well, I think that works for me because, well, I don't say Japanese are
Yes.
autistic, but it kind of like
Yes.
have
Oh
similar
God.
trait, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. No, I fucking love Japan because of that.
But this
Because
is the
of
thing. This is the thing. Like I talked with the other autistic friend. She's I think French or Swiss, and she studied in Japan like for like undergrad. And she says she really loves Japan because you don't have to talk with people basically, or like it's always the same thing that you have to talk. But as someone who grew up in Japan, it's like completely different situation that
yes.
you have to read a lot, like because yeah, like
Hmm.
because people expect something that you don't say, and because I'm Japanese, so they don't think that I'm a foreigner asshole. I mean, not saying foreigners are
No,
assholes,
no,
but
exactly. No, of course, people have very low expectations of you in Japan.
yeah,
So, but this like thing, where, for example, when we do a show there and people don't want you to do something, they won't say no. They'll just say like, "Oh, yes, let's talk about it again." And like
and
in
never
the
talk
third
about it.
time, and then there's the third time talking about it, you're like, yeah, and then you just say like, you know what? Actually, I don't want to do this. I have a different idea that I would way prefer to do. And they're like, yes, but the other thing was such a good idea, and it's fucking fake, but it's really polite though. And I always figure you have to behave like this if you're on a freaking island, because you can't be that confrontational, because you can't run away that far. Because I observed that in other like more constricted places too, like the British do it as well. They're also like, no, 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 I can't be your, but they're being weird about it. Because they're not really good at being polite. Unless they're really good at it, but most of them are not. They're not investing enough, I think, in this culture. But no, I think it's a really low bar for foreigners in Japan. If
Yeah.
you, and it's a lot easier for Europeans anyway, I think, because they do expect more of the American style white person who's going to be loud and just not interested in a culture, not even able to eat with freaking chopsticks and stuff like that. Just like, well, we're the freaking sushi, kind of person. And so
And also
just
like
constantly,
this
yeah.
something really like we have like how to say it, we admire, like we have this kind of like dream to visit Europe somehow, like it's not America of course, because I think it's because of the history, because
Yeah.
here there's more like rich history if you don't think about indigenous people in America. Well, anyways, so that's like the Japanese attitude towards Europe versus the North America. I think that's also comes in.
Yes, totally. It's because, being in Vienna, and also like, I suppose sometime I lived in Salzburg as a child, like, understandably, I understand why Japanese people really like coming to Vienna,
Yeah, if
because
you say
it's,
you're in Vienna, probably like people will expect that you like live in the Belvedere or something.
but how often it's really true, and the freaking houses do look like that. But the funniest thing was like a few years ago when I did a show. I went over to Tokyo to install it and do some research and so on, and I leave for the airport at home, and I noticed in the corner of my eye, I noticed like a neighbor that lived 2 stories above us, a woman, walking with her violin case, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, she's also. And then I'm at the airport, and I'm like, I'm like, is that her? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I'm like, we're on the same plane. And like, and then we're like, oh, so you're also going to Tokyo? And she's like, yeah, I'm having a concert. Like, I'm having a show. And then we didn't cross paths in Tokyo, but then we took the same flight back again, like 8 days later or something, very, very random, and it was very, really weird. And yeah, so we talked about it. So like, yeah, it's always like they're always really, really welcoming. But in the end, to finish that up, the thing that I still love most is that you can take your time when you go shopping, and that you just that taking the speed out of things when you pay, and not fast, 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 fast. I mean, it's fine at the Aldi style because that's a clear design thing, and it's just like this is a sport. But this in between shit, I find it really horrible because I never know am I too fast, am I too slow, what am I supposed to say? But going shopping in Japan, I find really nice.
Yeah, here I started to feel that I don't know if it's a light or it's a space or it's the
Mm.
I think it's a cashier that you have to like there's no time here that you have
No.
to like throw things in the bag, which I really hate.
Yeah.
In Japan, I think you have the corner to put your the plastic basket and then put it in your
Hmm.
bag, which is
Yeah.
really nice. But
Yeah. And just you use both hands also, not just like but just take your freaking time. It's like
and where's
well,
your payback card? Where's your card? Where's your
yes.
cash? It's like, but I like well, I actually like the self cashier, like the
Yes.
machine that did it by itself, and
I'm in love with them.
it saves so much stress. But the only thing is, it always crashes when you have the you have to wait something. Uh, but I think it was different in Vienna, like in Austria. Like you have to weigh it beforehand, right? Like next to the vegetable section.
Yeah, in usually,
Yeah, and you put the
yeah,
sticker on it,
yeah.
and then you scan it later.
Hmm.
But here, like at the self cashier, you have to weigh it there,
Yeah.
and always it crashes, and
No,
you have
that
to
fucks
wait
it up.
for
Yeah.
someone to come. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it makes it even worse. And at one point, I think the staff told me that you should just use the regular cashier. You don't use this one. And I was like, what's the point?
That's very upsetting. That is very upsetting. Yes. I mean, no, I'm very good friends with this self-checkout things. I think they're very nice people. I
Yeah,
like them. Hmm. They give me all the options, how do you want to pay?
yeah.
Do you want to return that, and but they're so quiet about it. People should more be like self no, not what's it called self checkout cashiers.
So yeah, self checkout. Yeah.
Yeah, but this what self checkout. That sounds weird. That sounds like suicide. It's not good.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. Self something is always like it's a weird name. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, I actually lived. Well, not, I never lived in Vienna, but I spent like some time there, like twice during the Impulsdance festival
Hmm.
a few years ago. Yeah, like how is it to be there? Oh, how is not a good question, but it's like a huge contemporary art, contemporary dance communities there, and not so much with the technical things, right? I mean, I know that there's a nice hacker space in the middle of
Hmm.
Vienna, but I didn't see much. I know one friend who's doing like media art stuff in Vienna, but I don't know many people there that's doing net art or like digital art.
No,
But maybe it's good
they're
that there's not many people out there.
they're when this shit started in the 90s, there were obviously a few people, um, but they were usually not, not dedicated. They were lazy people, or, not lazy in the sense of smart lazy, but lazy in the sense of, maybe so lazy is the wrong word. Just
Clumsy? No.
people, yeah, mostly people that were not interested in developing something, going somewhere.
Mm,
They were just really content pretty much with what is, and so which is very, very typical. And so that really didn't take far, but there was a quite a vivid, scene still for net culture, until like I would say like 2005-ish, maybe a bit longer, 2010, I'd say. And it was also really more of a community because we were, self-organizing funding and so on, and with the city of Vienna. And but then that kind of broke apart because of politics. I mean, real politics, not community politics. And and then people, there's just so many people. Then they got caught up in the cryptocurrency stuff, or they just they got just older and just moved to Silicon Valley, or they just the stuff like that. So the people who had more interested in achieving something. And but then on the other hand, I don't really know so much what's, I noticed that there's some people, especially in that NFT space, that are locals, but I don't know about them because, I don't go out and meet people. I used to when my children were really small, because then, it's like a small child is even better than a dog because he can go into everywhere, Otherwise, it'd be easier with a dog. You're just like, because then you're not going to the archer, you're not going to meet people, you're just walking with your dog. It doesn't matter, you can distract your brain from that. But with a small, it's perfect. You can explain everything to you. It's like your own little private Idaho if you have a small child with you. People tend to be really respectful, or they're really scared of children anyway. Yeah, children are really scared. No, alligator's fine, but a child, oh my God, It reminded me of the meme, right? What's worse than a rapist? A child, right? That's such a nice one. Um, yeah, but so I don't really, I mean, there's stuff going on, but it's so, I don't like the style because most of the attitude of people at the moment, I'm talking not really the younger people, but the people that are like, the late 20s into like early 40s. I think they're just not punk enough for me. I'm a very punk person, and I get fucking bored with them. They're just, oh yeah, so why would I talk to them? But otherwise, living in Vienna is really cool because it's a very calm place, and yeah, and it's beautiful, and it's green, and safe and all that shit.
Yeah, what I really like is I mean, now probably it's quieter, but the tourism area is in the center. So if you don't go
Hmm.
in there, like everything is chill, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice. It's a conscious decision you can take. But it's nice now because now we can, like, we do these things where we go to the cafes and so on that usually can't go to because they're filled with tourists. And now we're like, oh, let's just do that. And I can also, which I really like, go to the museum, to the art history museum more often because if there's too many people, I just can't go. And like there was this big Barger exhibition 2 years ago, whatever, and they pretty much showed everything of his, and it's so much of I mean, my favorite painting of his, the one with the snow thing where they just come back, hunters in the snow, um, is always there anyways. But I usually just can't go because there's just too many people around, and I just stand in front of the picture for like an hour, and then I notice that people think like, oh, she's so weird. I'm like, no, you were weird. You just come here to just glance over it and what the hell, you know? Um, so so that's really nice. Yeah, that's true. But I don't mind the tourists really when they're all around because they're not like people anymore. They're just like a mob of something.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Like Avatar, just like walking in the
Yes,
same
and also
style.
exactly. But and sometimes when you sit down and at in a cafe and you do notice you kind of notice the aura of the people if you're not a stupid you know person, and you can kind of decide do you want to sit next to these people or not because you do notice upfront if they're going to be like, yeah, I have a question, can I ask you, if you're in that kind of mood to be talking to a stranger, or if you just want to be left alone. That's because I rather talk to a tourist than a local usually, or even a friend. That would be stressful.
I see.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like that's like um I was thinking about some questions, but I also wanted to keep it
Like,
fluid.
mm-hmm.
But I also don't want to like ask too many questions because that makes it like really like an interview that I have my mic and stick my mic
Yeah,
to.
that's true. But I did the thing with the campus radio, I think 2 weeks ago or last week. I don't know. I didn't count. And I thought she didn't ask all the questions she had prepared. She asked some of them, but it was nice. It was just such an American conversation that it was so organized. It was such an organized, uh, unstructured, structured conversation that's like so natural and all that. That was, that's like one of these American social skills that people really develop, where they just can maneuver quite nicely between, structured interview and just having a little, kind of leisure conversation. I'm not, I'm not as bad as my younger daughter, because she just, I found out why she likes setting up stuff with me, or, renovating rooms and such, because, just sitting there and I don't know, you're scraping the walls or painting, whatever you're doing. And she will just tell her story for 4 hours in a row, monologue, 4 hours, and I don't mind, because it's nicer to have somebody go, blah, 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 when you're doing that kind of work. And, she is this classic autistic person that just says, like, I saw this movie yesterday. And then she starts, and 2 hours later, it's done. And she takes no prisoners, You're like, well, I think you can skip to the next scene. And she's like, no. And it's just like,
Everything has to be explained. Yes.
everything has to be explained, yes, because I understand why. Because she once, when she was in elementary school, she got a worse grade in for a math test, and she's very good at math. Um, and because she didn't show, how her calculations, and I said, oh, I see that it was like, something like 19 plus 42 or whatever. That was, she should have written that down and not just the result. And then she said, like, yeah, but how am I supposed to know? I said, like, and she's like, but because it's okay if I don't write down 4 plus 7, then why do I have to write down the other one? They're the same. They're just an addition. And I said, yeah, I know, but they don't know. But she said, but then she said, like, but when do they need to know? When is the threshold? When, basically she's like, when does it get complicated for them? Is there a book? How could I find out? Can I ask her? Like, what? And I'm like, oh, it's really, I think you should just wait until you're a little bit older, then they don't care anymore. But I think she just came to the conclusion that you cannot know what people understand. So she just tells everything, because that's,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I yeah, okay. I don't know what to say because I think it's good and bad. But I think
Yes.
it's good to try and then maybe she will adjust or she will continue. I don't know to tell everything.
Yeah, but she's also like this really quiet person. When she's by herself, she never speaks. She doesn't make the sound. Like, she glides. What's funny? In Austria, the kids in school, for they get corona tested in the morning, like every day, and school is open now, like regular school again, and but they get like these stickers in a pass, because that also works if you want to go to a cafe or whatever, because you have to be tested or vaccinated, or you have to at least pass. And when they designed the pass, they were like thinking of children, right? Because and but they kind of forgot that children also get older, and even teenagers are still in school. So they designed this pass. It's like this, more like it rolls down. It rolls down, like it flaps up and rolls down, and it's designed as the ninja pass. It's got like this ninja list, this cartoon ninja on top, and you get, like, every time you get tested negatively, you get a ninja sticker. And it's got like this motivational messages on there. And now you got like all this, whole Austrian TikTok is full of like 17-year-olds that go like, me trying to get into the club with my ninja pass. It's very cute. And like all the fucking Viennese teenagers when you go like, where's my ninja pass? Fuck, I forgot my ninja pass. I can't go to a McDonald's. It's really cute. But I think they did right, because you gotta give the childhood to the teenager. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to do it other way around, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be horrible. Yeah.
But that's something like I always like maybe it's a bit different, but like gamifying something is like always good because I try to think, like when I have to do something that I'm not really comfortable with, I have to make it funny, or make
Hmm.
some kind of compromise to do it. Like I have to make a phone call to the aunt or whatever that I don't want. First, I don't want to call someone, and second, I don't want to speak in German. Um, and then but then if I say that, for example, after that I will eat cake if I make the phone call or something. It's still like a child, like I guess that's how ask your kids to do something. But I have to make that to yeah, force myself to do something often.
Yes. I mean, are you autistic only or also ADHD? What are you both or just autistic? Or
I,
you don't
I, I
know?
don't know. I have to say I don't have any diagnosis, so I cannot say anything. But
Hmm.
I know that my attention span is really short, and
Yeah,
I forget quite a lot. And
yeah,
actually,
I
like
think
these
you.
days, I really hated this sticky notes, but I use it everywhere. I have it a lot in my on my mirror. If you see it, oh, that also shows the mirror. But I stick these
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
a lot, um,
that
and
sounds very
it kind of works. Like I have a lot on my table. This was from the one project, and this is for another project, and this I don't know what it is. Not so much time to show myself. Sound bad. I don't know what it is.
I love those messages to self.
Yeah, I have no idea. And the first characters I cannot even read but I wrote it, but
Hmm.
it doesn't focus. Anyways, yeah, but
That
it says
sounds
sound
very,
bad.
well, that sounds very ADHD.
Thank you.
Because you're welcome.
And now we
Because
forgot what we were talking about. So,
yeah,
anyways,
yeah, because it's just I'm like I've become a kind of an expert on that because clearly, Billy, our elder daughter, is not ADHD, and the younger one is also diagnosed as ADHD. And and you can really see it in the different rooms. It's like a stereotypical situation. Like this only autistic person has. I want my walls to be white, my bed to be white, my closet to be white. There needs to be no doors, just a white curtain. And I've two Billy shelves that are white with white curtains in front of them, so I don't see what's inside because it's distracting. And I use this voice the whole time because why should I vary my voice? Because I only have this voice. That's fine. Why you're looking at me? I'm done. Thank you. Bye. Uh-huh. That's her. And the other one is like, I'm gonna clean up this tomorrow. I mean, I'm totally gonna clean it up now because I know where everything is. Like, Lola, shouldn't you be in school? It's like, oh, um, no, because I should be somewhere else. That's the other one. And I mean, I asked her, and like, it's I don't know. When I clean up her room, um, and she sees us afterwards, she's just like she would almost like uh give me money for it, because she cannot. She just cannot, just no way. And I was the same, when I was a child. My mom was always like, how even does she manage to get a perfect cleaned up room into a full blown mess within 5 minutes? I think my mom tried a few times herself and she couldn't manage. So I think the post-its are a really good way because I can't write stuff. That's why I didn't answer to your reminder because I was scared if I answer, I will forget again.
I see. I see.
Because if I didn't answer, so it was constantly still in my mind. Yeah, he sent me that message. Yeah, he sent me that message. Yeah, you should maybe reply. Yeah. And I felt bad about replying, but that made it stick up there. If I reply, I would have forgotten again.
Yeah,
So
but that's
yeah.
actually also like a problem for me. Like these days, I mean, actually, I've been running like a script on the KHM server, which I think I really should stop doing, scraping Instagram and storing on KHM server, because I think they will come to me at some point and say that you have to delete these files, because now it was like 20 gigs on the server. So I was thinking that I have to take a backup. I mean, I have to remove the files and copy it on my hard drive. And because this is like a Kuron, how to say it, like it happens every day. And after the job is done, like the scraping is done, they will send me email automatically. So I just like these days I was keeping the emails in my mailbox so that I will not forget to delete the
Yeah.
files. And then
Yes.
it lasted for like 4 or 5 days, because I got used to having these emails in my mailbox,
Exactly.
but
See,
I
that's
didn't file
exactly,
them.
yeah. See, that's what Lola's room looks like. That's also like, I'm gonna leave this, I don't know, Italian homework right on my desk, so we'll do it. And then after 2 days, she's like, yeah, this is the Italian homework that I need to do. It's like, yeah, and then I come in, "No, you actually also need to do it." And she's like, oh, that's true, you know? It's really interesting, but there's just this one thing I really don't understand yet. I understand why autistic brains work really well. I see that with Billy. I also see why it's really dangerous sometimes, because it's like only hyper focus and no distraction. And if you have a bad thought, it gets intense, you know? And for me, I always said, yeah, I don't care about bad moods because I have to go to the toilet sooner or later, and then my body just reboots anyway. I always come out of the bathroom like a newborn person. Like, okay, hello. I don't. If somebody asked me, how did you feel before going to the bathroom, I would have been like, no, that was reformatted. I don't remember. You know, it would have to be something like really, just like a real feeling, but not just yeah. So, but I don't understand how this ADHD thing actually makes the brain work better. Is it really because it's makes emotions easier? Is that the problem that people have? I understand why neurotypical brains can be quite inefficient because they're so like it's like a concrete riverbed. I feel it's the water doesn't flow where it wants to flow. It only goes where it's supposed to go, and it
Okay.
needs to. But I think I started thinking about that because we were at a child psychiatrist for Lola, and she said, she must be very smart. And I said, like, yeah, she's smart. And she said, like, yeah, because she was sick a lot as a young child, and she also has ADHD, and but she still skipped a grade in school, so she must be very smart that she can skip a grade even though she has ADHD. And I thought, no, it is also because I know that's true, but I don't know how. How the fuck can this level of forgetfulness be helpful? I'm of course, I'm taking this more on like on a philosophical level.
Or like, but also like the how brain functions, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have, let's say, the disorder, quote unquote, that doesn't mean that it's bad, because it suppresses something that makes inefficient, like the communication that's running all the time for
Hmm.
neurotypical brain that is doing something inefficient in your life, to think about how's the weather. Or I mean, I think about how's the weather is, but I don't think about how to tell what the weather is to other people. So maybe that is skipping all these inefficient tasks from my brain, which is good. And but an ADHD, I don't know. It's maybe about, yeah, switching the tasks for in a forced way, so that it's more. But it's also about like hacking yourself, right? Like it's not like, you said you go to the bathroom and you forget. I mean,
That's true.
also like for me, like when I at least when I sleep and wake up, then I wouldn't be depressed so much compared to the last night. But like before going to the bed is always like the worst time. Like anyways, like bad thoughts come in, and then I really have to sleep. Otherwise, I will mess up so many things. Anyways,
I'm very, I'm very lucky because my mother once told me as when I was a child. Sorry, maybe I couldn't go. I don't know what happened, but she said, it makes no sense to think about things in the evening. Um, because then you fall asleep and in the morning we'll have forgotten about them. If you want to think about things as in what you want to do and how you want to do stuff or plan your life or whatever, you should do that in the morning. And I thought like, oh yeah, that's actually correct. And then I stopped doing that because it made so much sense. I think, that is one of the biggest traits, benefits of the autistic brain. If something makes sense, then you don't have to adapt your brain into that. Then you can just go click because it makes more sense. It's like, it's like some IKEA furnitures you have to screw in, and some it just shows just push until it goes click. And so I think autistic brain is more of a click. But if you can't get to the click, you will get stuck before. But it's very binary sometimes. It's like I don't get it or I get it, but there's no process in between. And it's also like somebody explains it to you further, then it will make click. No. It's different, But and I noticed that also with my elder daughter when she had heartache, and because her girlfriend broke up with her, and I just explained to her the process. I said it's very painful now, but it will only take a few days, and because then you know what it is, and then you're like, yeah, this is how I do, because otherwise it makes no sense, and then you will be fine. And that was also the case. And then it was suddenly the other way around. Her ex-girlfriend, she was like, it took her longer to get over it, even if you separate, and it was because for me it was kind of an experiment, because usually you would treat the heartbroken person differently. So like, yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen, and blah. These
Oh,
kind
I
of
hate
things.
it.
I know. You get these neurotypical people. They always need hope and this shit, right? Then you gotta, but of course, so I figured, no, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna tell her the things that make sense. It's like, this is what you're feeling now. This weird feeling is this and that, but then it will develop into face. I thought of there's this episode of The Simpsons where he eats fugu fish, and
Okay.
he's poisoned. And the doctor explains to him that the stages of kind of that he will go through into accepting his death, like the denial, the anger, and all the stage. And this is what I remembered, and I didn't go to these specific stages, but the way that just line out these stages, and then you know what to expect, and then if you're at step 7 of 10, you're almost done. And also to not treat your emotions that you're going through as them being your personality, but it's more of a, I don't know, if like a muscle sore. If you've been training too much, it's just a thing that happens because your brain has to adjust, and but it's not your personality. You're not broken. It's just it's just emotions.
Yeah,
And
that's something I learned over time, that like not thinking about hope, but to just enjoy the negative feelings
oh
as well.
yes, yeah.
I often think about like a dried squid. I don't know if like this
Yes.
Japanese or Asian thing that you have to
Hmm.
chew,
Hmm.
and then the flavor comes out. So that's something I think about. It takes time, and but it's not something that I have to try to motivate myself to be a happy person.
Yeah,
Which
that's
always
very.
screw up, and that's the problem. Like everyone says that, and you try, and then you just screw up because you cannot just adapt it like that way.
Oh, really? But who like, you have people who tell you to uh well, I think I'm lucky there because I usually look like a happy person. I mean, sometimes I hate that when people say resting bitch face. They don't say to me, because like I just like, that's a neutral face. What do you expect of people? But in general, like, but you also come across of more of being like a happy person. No, it's just for facial features that people have. There's facial features that look more, you're more yang than yin. That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah,
From your, yeah, that's usually really helpful in having exchanges with other people. And so like if I had a secretary, I would get a young secretary, not not a young, not a
Yeah,
yin.
the
Yeah,
bright, the
yeah,
light.
exactly.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if I had a yin secretary, but other people would need that. It's like the secretary that keeps people off and that's strict and you can rely on them. But I would never tell her anything because I'd be scared that she would, say like you did it wrong or something. So I think this is, um, it's very, but sometimes people that take that the wrong way and they think you're too approachable, and that's a bit hard sometimes because sometimes get too people are just too much and it's just leave, just really
Mm.
go away. I like trees better. They don't run after you.
But maybe they make you sick with a hay fever.
Yeah, I don't have allergies. I'm none at all. Yeah. So my brother has so many allergies. He's a defunct person. Yeah. Okay, but you come on, ask two more questions because I what is this? Oh, sorry, I got distracted.
What was that? Then the
I,
question is, what is that?
what is that? That's the question.
That's what distracted you?
There's like a number code inside this cup, and then I was like, whoa, and but it's just a stupid promo code again.
Oh,
I always
you know what? Like what really upsets me is I think it's like McDonald's. They have this. Do they still have this plastic? Well, the cup is paper, but the plastic lid, right? And they always have this diet tea, whatever,
yeah,
like the sign that I think they're supposed to push it to market,
they
right?
don't they don't.
They never do
It's
it.
I
But I
mean
think it's a
why?
such. I think it's smart. Well, I wouldn't say smart, but I think it's interesting idea that they implemented
Yeah,
it, but they never use it.
it and now it's even more horrible, I think, because yeah, so you got this paper cup that's not a full paper cup usually because there's some plastic lining in it usually, which
Otherwise, it was just drip.
well,
Or
for
maybe not.
Coke it should be fine, right? But um and now the plastic cover that they don't use properly, which is not okay at all. It's totally not in Ordnung. I mean, why are you denying its existence? Then just don't use it. It's very upsetting. And but now they used to have the plastic straw, and yes, of course, we're all happy using the paper straw now. But the noise that the paper straw now makes when you put it inside this plastic lid, it's really
It's
bad. It's very, very bad. I wasn't at
it's more
McDonald's
like
for
dull. Like the sound is like
it's almost it's almost like not a sound anymore. It's almost like a feeling, a sense, that essential experience that you didn't ask for, and 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 because it's a little bit like because me and both of the kids are really sensitive to the sounds. Even it was even outside, and we're like, please put the straw in. Be careful. Okay, do it slow. No, that's too fast. It's just this moment. And you're like, we must look like fucking freaks, And like the other one sitting there, like, I can't hear anything. I'm fine. And then the other one says, like, I can't sit here anyways. There's too many people walking by. Uh-huh. Um, but then, yeah, but I thought it wasn't that bad. But then little one really said, Mom, it's horrible. And I said, yeah, you're really right. I was just trying to make it sound better for me. But so I'm not gonna have Coke anymore at McDonald's because of the sound.
okay. Actually, like this reminded me of something. Okay, that's gonna be the last question. Well,
Hmm.
it's not really a question. It's like a remark. That I think once I was talking with an architect, and she was saying that when you plan something, I mean they plan something all the time. They try to break the pattern, which I really hated because it's like they try to add like a twist to the design, and that just like consciously or unconsciously just disrupts my feeling. Then I start to feel like when I walk on the street, like looking at the tiles, and then something goes wrong, then I feel like, okay, someone did it consciously to screw up my mind.
This is a dangerous topic, I think, especially with patterns. I found out when in our first seminar that we did at KHM that there's people on this planet who don't even really know what pattern matching is. And it's just like I found out on TikTok recently that there is about like only 20% of people can kind of have a narrator in their mind, can kind of hear voices in their mind. And then there's even people who can't visualize stuff. I know that because Hans cannot, yeah. But that's really strange things. But for me, the strangest thing so far really has been that people don't even know what pattern matching really is. You have to really explain it to them, and you notice they don't have a feel for it. It's not, they don't like, oh, that part, yeah, that's in here. This is what, And I was like, how do they function? How does that work? I mean, I know their brain does do it to some extent because otherwise they really couldn't function, but they're not aware of it at all. So it's like, to me, that sounded like people who are not aware that they have legs, you know? Like, yeah, sure, I can walk somewhere. It's like, yeah, it's because you got legs. And they're like, nah, what is that again? It was on that level for me. And because the tile thing, I do remember there's this one time I was really, at the time, I didn't know that I was just overwhelmed and like in sensory overload because I was sitting at a McDonald's and I started looking at the tiles on the floor. And if I'm really overwhelmed, then my brain will just do shit by itself. And it's like, a computer that just goes, no, it's not good, it just goes, it heats up. So it was just starting to do like fucking math, the whole time. So it's so loud because it just tells me, well, there's about 242 black tiles, but only 312 gray ones because in order that's in the total, it's like, but if you divide it by, and the patterns that's fault, and I'm like, no, 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 no. And I couldn't get out of it anymore because it was just sucking me in. And it got really loud. Thank God, I was with Hans that day, and he just like, oh, just leave, and just kind of give me a nudge or something, which was enough to get me out of that shit. But so I'm really cautious of patterns, to not look at them too much, because sometimes it's fucking freaky. Or I just lie there. There's like this place. It's like a spa swimming place in Vienna. And they've installed like these I think it's for sound, on the ceiling, like really massive different colored rectangles, and just to dampen the sound and in these swimming halls.
But with different colors.
Yeah, the different colors, they're quite big, so they're not disturbing, they're not making anybody nervous and so on. But because I'm just relaxing, getting out of the water, like relaxing on there, and so I'm not looking at anything, and suddenly, like, I hear it in the back of my mind. 27, and I'm like, what, 27? It's like 27 yellow ones, and then I'm like, and it always really freaks me out because then I'm so like, yeah, I mean, that's just random numbers, and then I'll go like, and then I'll count them, and it is 27, and it just like happens very often that my, the stupid Rain Man thing in the end, where my brain very often really does it. Just says like, yeah, that's the number. That's the amount of elements that we see right there. And I find it so freaky, and I don't like it. And I think it's because it's something you can't share with other people. And it makes me really feel like a freak. Also, it's not very useful. It's not like people say like, I really wonder how many yellow tiles are up there, and you're like, oh, it's 27, by the way, but yeah. So I finishing up yesterday, I helped my other daughter put together a Kallax shelf from IKEA, and right in the end, the one part didn't come together, so I had to hammer it in a little bit, and you be careful so you don't dent it in, and because it's just made from cartonage and so on. And I noticed, okay, I just gotta do is the dunk, the dunk, the dunk, and so it just, because even the rhythm makes it come in, because it's just this it works that way, it's physics. But somebody else says, can you do it in a different way? This is a horrible sound. I'm like, No, I just, I dampened it with a cloth so it wouldn't, destroy the surface and so on. And she said, like, yeah, but can you then maybe not do it so it sounds like it's music? Because we are putting together a shelf and not making music? And I thought, oh, I understood her point because I had not introduced her to this concept yet. That it's like I make this list of things that I have to explain to her. And it will last a long time. But so I was sitting there going to the dunk, and then on purpose, not creating a rhythm. So I was sitting dunk 1 2, dunk 1 2 3, the dunk 1 2, the dunk 1 2 3 4 5 1, just random. It was so exhausting because things are so much easier in a rhythm, obviously, because it automates itself. And but I did understand. I thought like, yeah, she probably is also really sensitive to the patterns. And when she starts seeing that, then probably forever when she looks at this shelf, she will hear the dunk, the dunk, the dunk,
Oh,
the dunk.
oh, don't say
So
that. Don't say that because that will
see,
make me think of something.
Mhm. It's a fucking dangerous topic. It's really, I don't know. What are
Yes,
we gonna do with those patterns?
we'll see. Maybe.
No
Well, that's
coding.
actually something that I'm interested to do something with that, but
Hmm.
we'll see.
Hmm.
I like to count binary numbers, so
Hmm.
that's and I like. Oh, I messed up, but this is I do it when someone's talking and I'm not really interested, and I once did
Hmm.
it with 10 fingers, so up to 1023. That was an
Nice.
achievement, and once I filmed it and showed it
Hmm.
at a seminar. So that's the way I try to
Hmm.
channel it into something and
Yeah.
not feel bad about it.
How did the people react to that in the seminar to seeing that?
I don't remember if I got feedback because that was like a for the showing, and that was at
Hmm.
the main train station that they showed
Hmm.
on the
Okay.
advertisement
Hmm.
display, and I don't know if I got any
At the train
feedback.
station, that's a really good spot for something like that.
Yeah, but it was the entrance. It's not at the
Yeah,
platform. That would be amazing actually.
that would be fucking amazing. Yeah, that
And
would be
this
really nice. Yeah.
RE1 is 5 seconds late, something like that. It would be amazing.
People be like, "What the hell? Why are you doing this to us?" Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah.
Oh no, that's really bad because I always count how like many minutes trains are late, but don't. It's if it's subconscious, it's okay. If I get
Yeah.
conscious, then that's really bad sign.
Yes.
Okay, I close it here because I
Yep.
think it will. Yeah, we are four
Hmm.
minutes over. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel.
Great. Bye.